This episode is brought to you by the good humans at Babylon Burning. Babylon Burning is a 50-year-old legacy screen printing business located in the heart of San Francisco's South of Market district. They specialize in high-quality custom screen printing that's built to last. For 5 decades, they've been putting ink to fabric, working hands-on with beloved SF institutions like Rainbow Grocery, the Balboa Theater, and the SF MoMA to produce custom merchandise people love to wear, collect, and proudly show off. 2026 marks 50 years of keeping this well-oiled machine running strong. Babylon Burning is truly a shop that's been keeping San Francisco weird, loud, and well-dressed since day one.
I wouldn't say scarred, right? I don't think it scarred me. I think it enabled me to put my own life into context as a colonial subject, and my family as colonial subjects, right? And was able to help me understand the sort of meta-narrative of these individual stories, and really think about, okay, what is the actual problem, right? Why not? I am firmly in belief that 9/11 was not an inside job, but the fact is, why was this such an easy thing to do?
That was Soleil Ho, food writer and co-founder of the COYOTE Media Collective. I'm Jeff, and this is Storied San Francisco, a show about the artists, activists, and working people who make this city unlike any other. In this episode, meet and get to know Soleil. I first learned about them when I noticed that the Chronicle had a new food writer who wasn't the mysterious Michael Bauer. I guessed that this new person was Asian and possibly a woman or female identifying. I read what I could of their work on this side of the paywall, and it was a breath of much needed fresh air. I was hooked. I followed their journey all the way to the launch last year of COYOTE. Check back Thursday for part 2 of this episode. Here's Soleil Ho.
I don't know a lot, actually, because my family story really, at least in my conception of it, starts with my grandparents on either side.
Right.
Because they all, in various clusters came to the United States in the 70s,
Okay.
in the wake of the Vietnam War. And so I don't know a lot about what happened before.
Is it fair to call them refugees?
Yeah,
Okay.
they're all refugees,
Okay.
for sure. I don't
Okay.
identify as immigrant anything because I think that kind of elides the reality of
Not necessarily chosen.
having to run
Yeah.
off from a war that was instigated by colonial powers, right?
Right.
So, my grandparents on my mom's side brought their 8 kids from Vietnam
Okay.
to Illinois.
Oh.
In the middle of fucking nowhere.
Right, the middle of the country.
Yeah, to Freeport, Illinois. And when they arrived, they were in the newspaper because, there's not much else going on. I remember that.
Yeah,
And-
never heard of Freeport.
Yeah,
Tiny town.
tiny.
Do you know how they ended up there? Because
So my family, how it worked was they ended up in a refugee camp in Arkansas. And there was a really long line, of course, for the big places, like Houston, right? The places you think of as typically Vietnamese enclaves. Los Angeles, for instance. And because there was such a big family, imagine a restaurant. You're trying to get the table for 8 versus a table for 2. The table for 2 is going to be faster, right?
Right.
Basically, that's how it worked.
Yeah, all the
And
2 top towns.
They took whoever was able to sponsor them. And so this really lovely woman who incidentally had also escaped her home country
Okay.
of Germany during World War II, took my whole family in to her house. And
So a little bit of empathy
yeah.
from a
ton.
lived experience.
And she came to Christmas
30 years
every
later.
year
That's amazing.
until she died.
Yeah.
It's incredible. So that's how they ended up in Freeport.
Okay.
Yeah.
I always think of, when I hear stories like this, one aspect I think of is the logistics of your grandparents and 8
Yeah.
Like, I don't have kids. I'm like, one already sounds like a lot. Not only like fleeing a war-torn country that is your home. It's just like all of that. It blows my mind.
Yeah.
But obviously people did it.
Yeah. And the fact that they got all the kids out unscathed, relatively. I mean, psychologically, who knows? It's a dice roll. But the fact that they got them all out is incredible.
That's your mom's side, you said?
It's my mom's side.
Okay, so did she grow up in Freeport then, or?
For the most part, yeah.
Okay.
She was, I think, 8, 10 when she got here.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
So she might have had like a little bit of memory
Oh, yeah.
from Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. What part of Vietnam did they come from?
Vũng Tàu, which is basically, if you think about it relatively, it's like the most southern, like, major city in Vietnam. It's kind of
Okay.
resorty now, but it was like a
Okay.
fishing village at the time.
Right. Okay. And then do you know your dad's family story?
Kind of. So they are from central Vietnam, which has a very strong dialect, very different culturally, and what I know, he also has a ton of siblings, and so it was a similar story. But in this case, my grandfather was actually put in a re-education camp by the Viet Cong and was, I think, incarcerated for 10 years, tortured, the whole kind of thing, and then finally was released and able to come to the United States.
With his family?
No, the
Or-
family went first.
They went.
thankfully.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Got it.
And they were just kind of waiting.
And where did they end up?
They ended up in Illinois as well, but then eventually moved to New Jersey.
Okay.
So my mom met dad, obviously in Illinois, and yeah.
Before we get to how your parents met, which I would love to hear, you must have a million cousins?
I think so. Yeah, not a ton actually. So none of my aunts or uncles decided to have like a billion kids.
Okay.
So tops 2 kids.
Okay.
So
But times
reasonable.
8 on one side and or 7, I should say, but like, and then a lot on the other. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you is it so many cousins that you like haven't met and don't know some of them?
No.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Y'all are a big close family.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so New Jersey, Illinois, but then how did your parents find each other?
That, I think, it's funny because in Illinois, like, there wasn't a huge scene of Vietnamese people. It's not like San Jose, right? Everybody knew each other. And my grandfather on my mom's side was, like, the guy. He was the connector. He was the person who had a lot of parties and stuff and brought everyone together. And so his family and my dad's family were all, like, very close.
Okay. I had a question. Oh, so is your dad's family the Ho family?
Yes.
And then what was your mom's, or like, what is your mom's family name?
Oh, way more normie. Nguyen.
Okay, Nguyen.
Which
so,
is
so you're Ho
everybody.
Nguyen.
Yeah.
Yes, or Nguyen Ho, however we want to do it. Okay, so your parents were like part of like families that just kind of hung out and did all sorts of things. Did they eat together?
Oh, of course. Yeah. Especially with the New Year parties, always a big like feasting, event.
Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll get back to that because I want to talk about some of that. But okay, so they met, but like it wouldn't necessarily be a given that they would decide to have children, be together. I don't know. Do you know much of that story or?
All I know, well, they're divorced now.
Okay.
But all I know is that it was kind of a shotgun wedding. I was at the wedding in fetus form, and that was kind of how it went.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have any siblings?
Yeah, I have a younger sister.
Okay. Just the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that gets us to you. What you can say the year specifically that you were born, or we can just get a decade.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I was born in 1987.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
Well, you don't
Nothing
remember
special about it.
1987, but I do. I was in 7th grade at that time.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, whatever. But maybe, and where were you born?
In Illinois.
In Illinois, in Freeport, or?
Oh, no. God,
Okay.
no. My mom was a student at UIC, University of Illinois Chicago, at the time.
Okay.
And so I think I was born at that hospital, at the university's hospital.
Okay. So what and where are some of your first life memories?
I'm trying to remember. Yeah, just weird little things, like living in Chicago. My family often like lived with each other, and so I lived with my grandparents, or we lived with our grandparents on my mom's side because, obviously my parents were young and working a lot, and my mom was commuting to Chicago and back for work, and so my grandparents took care of me. And I just remember that. I remember learning how to make my first sandwich
Oh, yeah.
in my grandparents' kitchen.
Yeah.
And like they had Wonder Bread, of course, like the really shitty like cold cuts that came in like a packet.
Yeah. Yes.
And I thought like, to make a sandwich, you just have to microwave it. And so I did. And it just became this, I just remember that. Just being like, what? I don't understand how this works.
Well, we say shitty now, but at the time, that was everything, right?
Oh, no.
That's all you knew.
But when you microwave white bread, it just becomes like a hollowed out, almost astronaut food, like freeze-dried like monster. And you're like, what happened here? I think one really strong memory I have of that time is my dependence on individually wrapped Michael Jordan hot dogs
Ooh.
that came with the bun as well.
I know of no such thing.
And you would just have to microwave it in the plastic, which obviously so healthy. And the buns would become this really weird texture.
Mm-hmm. Like the astronaut food you described, or
it was
something
like,
different?
Some patches were really dry and some patches were just like melty. Yeah.
Okay.
But, being in Chicago area in the 90s, it was just Bulls everything.
Chicagoland.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, of course, you had the Bulls food, the merch, all of it.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, I've never heard of that. I wonder how far outside of Chicagoland it made it.
I have no idea. Yeah.
But it was one of your memories. Okay, so that's like 90s. So pretty early years. Like, do you remember school or anything like that?
Yeah. I remember preschool.
Oh,
I
wow.
only remember the one moment when my teacher's assistant, I forget her name. Teacher's name was Carol, but the teacher's assistant was packing little Ziplocs of gummy bears for everybody for our like trip
That's
or
so
something.
awesome.
And I saw her doing it in the office, and I like walked in there, and I was like, "What are you doing?" And she was like, "Oh, just packing gummy bears." And she gave me one, and I was just like, "Shh." And I was like, "Hell yeah, this rules."
I love it. Illicit gummy bear
Yeah.
circuit.
Yes.
That's awesome. Wow. So preschool, that's like 3, 4, something like that?
Yeah, just about.
Okay, dang, that's pretty early. Any other schooling that stuff you remember? Like what were you into as you started to get a little bit older?
I was really into vampires.
Yeah.
Yeah, I you do these like drawing projects in school, maybe for the holidays or whatever. You have to draw a turkey. And I remember everything I drew.
This turkey with the hand?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hand turkey, the Santa, everything was a vampire.
Okay.
Everything. With like blood on the teeth.
So like turkey vampire?
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Vampire Santa?
Yeah.
Do you have those drawings now?
No, of course not.
I want to see those though. Like I the picture in my mind is already awesome.
Yeah. I just remember
That's
that.
fun.
We my family like moved around a lot, and so we never saved anything really. Just too much.
Yeah,
But
sure.
I remember that.
Okay. Do you want to talk about some of those movings around, where you went?
Oh, sure. I mean, it's hard to pick, but when I entered college, so when I was 18, I like finally had a moment of introspection. And I realized that my family had moved us about like 20 plus times up to that point.
So more than once a year.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
So I was, that's a lot, just to give context.
That is a lot.
And, we moved to New York City when I was 8, and that was a great place to grow up.
What
also.
part of the city?
Manhattan,
Okay.
like the east side, because my mom works in fashion,
Okay.
and so she had to have access to, her work. and
The
Fifth
fashion
Avenue.
district.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. I like there's the garment district and then the fashion district.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
And you were 8.
mhm.
Wow, you must have some cool memories from that time, even though maybe you didn't stay there long, but like,
Yeah. I mean, it was really fun.
yeah.
Just
New York in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Dang.
Super cool. And then eventually moved to Brooklyn. But I do think that at the time, it's Giuliani's New York. It's
Sure.
like completely weird. New York is reinventing itself as well. Like Times Square is becoming like not just a hotbed for like porno theaters and stuff.
Getting Disney-fied.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
Giuliani'd.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really interesting like transition time
Yeah.
to be there. And like as a kid, I never felt unsafe. I was always just going off, doing stuff.
Riding the subway by yourself?
Yeah.
Or with other kids? Yeah.
Yeah.
So cool.
Um,
It's like the equivalent of folks who were born and raised in San Francisco being like, yeah, we just rode Muni. Like, we're 6.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's what we did.
that's normal.
Totally.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I think started to develop taste in food, right? Because my mom was a single mom at that point, and when she would come home from work, we had the drawer of takeout menus and delivery menus, and
Yep.
like everyone delivered in New York, of course,
Right,
it wasn't a big deal.
Right.
And so she would just pull them out and just be like, which ones do you want? And so you learn very quickly about like various Chinese foods. Indian food was a big one that we learned about. All the various cuisines in our neighborhood were represented in that drawer. And so learning like, oh, actually, I really like aloo gobi matar, right? And being able to understand what that meant and the components of those words, right?
Is that potato?
Yeah, and
Potato
gobi
base?
is like cauliflower.
Yes.
Yeah. So,
What a great combination.
yeah, one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And that was like, it has continued to be one of my favorites because as a kid, I really learned to love it.
That's, I think, is it fair to say these are formative memories?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely got you to here. And it was kind of like an awakening, something you hadn't had before. And you're like, look at all this stuff. And it tastes delicious. And it's super interesting. And there's stories in all of those cuisines, right? And specifically the people who made them and ended up in New York. So, okay, wow. Continuing with the moving around a lot. Maybe what was after Brooklyn?
We moved to Long Island for a minute
Okay.
to like try it out with her second husband.
Okay.
That didn't work out, so we moved back to the city, and that was also Brooklyn. And then I ended up going to high school in New York City as well. Went to basically the school that was the equivalent of like Lowell here, like a public school that you have to test into, but it's like got a lot of resources and like all that stuff, right? All the like quote unquote smart kids go there.
I'm doing the math. Would you have started school like around 9/11?
Oh yeah.
Do you want to talk about any of that?
Sure. I mean, my school was, I don't remember distances really, but it was like walkable to the Twin Towers. And so I saw the 9/11 attacks happen because my school was also 10 floors tall. And so I was on the 10th floor. And so we just saw it out the window. And we were like, oh, that's weird. And that happened again. And we're like, oh, that's really weird.
Yeah, because the first thing was like the smoke. Because, I mean, not everyone saw the first plane hit.
Oh, we saw those.
You saw the first plane hit?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
And so we thought like, oh. And then, oh. I guess it's not an accident. And so we had to evacuate our school. And obviously there are kids at my school whose parents like worked in the towers. And that was like very distressing. But it was basically just, we couldn't be in that building anymore because of the smoke and like the asbestos and all that stuff. And yeah, it was a really surreal experience because nobody knew what was happening. My mom was actually in Europe at the time on a trip. And so she was freaking out. She was like, my kid is dead.
Yeah.
And
probably couldn't get home right away.
yeah, no. And so she was trying to figure out how to do that. And like nobody had cell phones. And even at that point, cell phone tower was in the World Trade Center. So like, oops.
Right.
Bad design there.
Yeah.
And there were just people like kind of losing in the streets too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
What about your sister? Where was she?
Oh, she was in middle school. No. elementary school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, elementary school. Thankfully in Brooklyn, just a few blocks from where we actually lived, so it
Okay.
wasn't that hard for her.
Were you one of the, I don't know, hundreds of thousands or whatever people who had to like get over the bridges to get to Brooklyn, or?
And thankfully not.
Okay.
I just hung out until the train started running again,
Mm.
because I was just like, already at that point, I was one of those kids that just hung out in Union Square or the East Village, and just because I knew how to walk there
Yeah.
very easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just kind of
Did the trains come back online that day?
yeah.
Okay. I was already here, so there's like really granular details I don't understand. I had lived in New York right before I moved here in 2000, so like not that long. So there were parts that I did understand, logistics. But yeah, I didn't know that about the trains.
The thing I remember the most, which is so funny to me, is that before 9/11, there was a Coke vending machine in the cafeteria at school, and after, it was gone. And for me, that was like the beginning of the enshittification of like life in general. Was 9/11. It's like we can't have Coke, and then all of a sudden we have to take off our shoes, and all of a sudden like everything sucks. Yeah.
So the no Cokes is the terrorists won.
Yeah. Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I hope you've like found a way to heal from that and
Well, I don't
get all the
drink-
Coke you want.
I don't drink soda anymore.
I know, that's the thing.
So it's fine. But
I got
at the
one on a
time, I was
plane-
like,
yeah.
they took this away from us too. Damn.
Totally. I had one on one of these plane rides recently, and I was like, oh god, it's just so fucking saccharine
Yeah.
and gross.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. Well, I mean, we can leave the subject of 9/11, but I mean, like, are you a little scarred from that? It's
I don't think. Well, okay. Existentially, yes.
Sure.
Just because of the greater implications for American life that
Mm-hmm.
I and many millennials, right, have had to deal with. Kind of the beginning of the end of our like illusions, which is great. Shouldn't have illusions.
right. A
Right?
shakeup.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But at the same time, to see all this stuff happen again and again and again, right? I think about October 7, right? And how, like, horrific things come out of horror. And the the kind of martyrdom that justifies, like, intense evil in the world is just, it just brings me back to
It's
that.
like violence begets violence, horror begets horror.
Yeah, I became very much so like an anti-war, like authority person after 9/11.
Okay.
And like at that point, I didn't really think too much about it because I was, honey, bad girl. She doesn't like the big dogs 'cause she knows they can step on her. Honey.
Or maybe she thinks it likes poodles.
Yeah,
I
right.
can't have anyone liking poodles.
But no, I was immediately against the Iraq War and all of that stuff because I was like, I don't want this. I am a victim of the 9/11 attacks, right? I survived it. I saw it. And I don't want this,
Yeah.
you know? And so...
So it woke you up in that sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to see that play out again and again and again, and to have this sort of like saccharine kind of overwrought, like we need to do this for them kind of thing, it's just so disgusting to me.
Yeah, it's bananas to me. As you know, I came of age. I'm putting in air quotes, like before you. Probably the first Iraq War is my equivalent, and it's always amazed me that people choose sides in these things, and I'm like, it's all gross, and we don't need any of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, but that's the like pacifist hippie in me.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I think it did kind of, I wouldn't say scarred, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it scarred me. I think it enabled me to put my own life into context as a colonial subject, and my family as colonial subjects, right? And was able to like help me understand the sort of meta narrative of like these individual stories, and really think about, okay, what is the actual problem, right? Why? Not I. I'm firmly in belief that 9/11 was not an inside job.
Right.
But the fact is, like, why was this such an easy thing to do? That being like warmongering, right, in the wake of the attack. What agenda is being served there, right?
Right.
So, why do I have a French name? Like, all of it is connected,
Right.
you know?
Right. Yeah. powerful men fighting powerful men, and who suffers? We all do.
Right.
You know? Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get back to your story. You mentioned college. Where did that happen?
I wanted to get as far the fuck away from New York as possible. So I went to Iowa, to Grinnell College.
Back
which
to
is
the middle ass of the country.
Yeah.
Where your
yeah,
family's story not begins, but in this country where it begins.
Yeah. So I wanted to be closer to my grandparents, too, just to be able to visit more.
Because they were still in Illinois.
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
it. Okay. Awesome. And are you one of those kids who was like, I knew exactly what I was doing in college? Or are you like the rest of us who just like get there and figure it out?
Oh, I went to Grinnell because they advertised that this is the place to go if you don't know what the fuck you want to do.
Okay, it's a school for those people.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah, for the nice price of like $50K a year, you can like figure it out.
Right. This must have been like mid 2000, whatever that decade are we calling it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And did you stay there did you like graduate from that college?
I did.
How many years were you around there?
Oh, 4 years.
Okay.
Standard.
Oh, wow. And then what?
And then the subprime mortgage crisis,
Mm-hmm.
the big crash in 2008.
Speaking of powerful men,
Yeah.
ruining it for everyone.
Yeah. And the continuing disillusionment of the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
And so I graduated in 2009. I ended up working on a farm for a bit.
Oh.
That
I was
also,
going to say fun. Was it?
No, it was awful.
A lot of work and shit. Okay.
Yeah, but it was helpful.
Yeah.
It helped me really understand like food system stuff, and what does a broccoli look like. Good to know.
Mm-hmm. In the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, hun, bun, you're fine. You're fine. And I ended up working at a restaurant after that in the Twin Cities in Minneapolis.
I wanted to get to your Minneapolis story. I just read some stuff recently in Coyote that I'm jumping ahead in this podcast, but was that around this time post-college? Mm-hmm. Let's talk about it.
Sure.
I am, even predating the murder of George Floyd, I've been Minneapolis curious. I've been there a couple times
Sure.
In my life, but like a previous iteration as a punk rocker. And I have a cousin there. I've always just been, very like, it seems, except for the harsh winters, like, it seems like a lovely place.
Yeah. No, I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, people will tell you that the spring and summer make it all worth it.
Right.
Because everyone realizes the preciousness of it, and just there's so much life. Whereas here, it could be a beautiful day and you don't see anybody on the street.
Right.
Because it's just like whatever.
It's every day
More
here.
of the same.
Yeah,
Boo.
you're right.
Welcome to hell. Yeah. No, I mean, in Minneapolis, it's really vibrant art scene, wonderful food scene, relatively affordable, for artists especially, and punks, like you said. We know a lot of people who are still like really, in bands and like doing really cool stuff. Puppets,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. All art.
Yeah, it's like kind of what Portland pretends to be, I think. And I would argue that Minneapolis is a better biking city than Portland.
Interesting.
When I lived there, I was a basically 350-day-a-year bike commuter.
Amazing.
Like through the winter. Like if the temperature got to about like -10, that was good. It's like, oh, okay, I can bike today.
That was Soleil Ho. We recorded this episode at Strawberry Creek Park in Berkeley. On the next episode of Storied San Francisco, hear the rest of Soleil's story, including helping to found the Coyote Media Collective. Part 2 drops this Thursday, wherever you get podcasts. Music for Storied San Francisco was produced, performed, and curated by Otis McDonald. Our contributing producer is Aaron Lim of Bitch Talk Podcast. And the show is produced and hosted by me, Jeff Hunt. Now in our 8th season, we have more than 300 episodes available on our website, storiedsf.com, or wherever you listen to podcasts. If possible, please rate and review the show. I want to know what you think. Find us on Substack for our monthly newsletter and more. And follow us on Instagram and Threads at StoriedSF. Reach us there or email us at storiedsf@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Try to stay hopeful in these dark times. Keep being wacky, creative, and kind out there. And we'll see you next time on Storied San Francisco. We acknowledge and respect the first humans of the unceded land we call San Francisco, the Ramaytush Ohlone. We condemn the genocide of these and other tribes across the Western Hemisphere. We honor their legacy and history, and we support rematriation and sovereignty efforts.